Hey you guys, so it's been quite a while since I've been able to do an actual motion video. If you saw any of the previous uploads I've done, I only did one of my update that was just pictures because if I tried to get through everyone it would be a friggin' disaster trying to get through everybody. This video was suggested to me and something I've been wanting to do for quite a long time but just never had the time to actually do it. So today I'm going to focus on boa constrictor care and handling. It's quite simple. They're actually very sweet snakes. The only flaw, actually there's multiple flaws of owning a boa, but there's the benefits outweigh the flaws, basically. One of the major downsides of owning a boa is that they get incredibly large. Now, that depends on what kind you're getting. Let's say you're just getting a BCI, which is actually one of the most common boas you can get. A BCI is a boa constrictor imperator, so it's a locality of boa, but it's not a true red tail as what people call them. They're like, oh, is that a red tail boa? No, it's a boa. A true red tail is a BCC, which is a boa constrictor, which those are the ones with the very vibrant red tails that are actually called red tails. I do not own one personally. I've wanted one for a very long time, just haven't had the money to get one because I have this whole room I have to keep up with. But this is just focusing BCIs. BCCs are the ones that you want to stay away from if you're just getting into boas. A BCI is your better option and a lot cheaper depending on what morph you want to go with. A BCC is going to get about, I would say the largest I've seen a BCC is about 14 feet, and that was a female. So if you're not ready for something that gets hulking like that, I would suggest just starting off with a BCI. So we're going to go ahead and go up here to one of my baby females. Well, she's not really a baby anymore, she's a juvenile. She is a hypo boa constrictor, that's a BCI. She is possible het anery, although I don't really know who her parents were, so I can't really say for certain unless I prove it out. She's 2 years old, so she's really not all that big, despite what people might think. The one thing I want to mention right off the bat is that boa constrictors are not pythons. I cannot stress that enough. You do not want to overfeed your boa, which is very, very common as keeping them in pets. Boa constrictors cannot handle what pythons can. They can't handle really, really large meals. It upsets their stomach and they throw it up. It can also cause damage to the stomach and they just refuse to eat. Don't overfeed your boa and don't feed them large meals. They can't physically handle it. Boa constrictors, I would say, feed them every time after they poop. Seriously, you can't feed them once a week. There is no set schedule for boa constrictors. You do it after they use the bathroom. After you clean their cage, you can introduce another food item to them, but nothing other than that. Obesity is a very large problem with pet boa constrictors, and it's a problem. It's bad. Let's just say that it's bad. They don't have the metabolism that pythons do, so it's very important to... It is very, very important not to overfeed your boa. So it's hard for me to hold this lid up, but this rack was specifically designed that it could use lids. But right now I have her in a 41 quart tub. She's doing just fine. She's in her little hide right here. She's already got her head poking out. Are you going in, Shed? No, she's not. She's got a large water bowl right up front on the cool side. Back there is her warm side. I actually don't have the heat tape on at the moment because this room stays pretty warm. It's at nighttime when it gets turned off because it is winter and it did I say turned off or turned on? I totally just like screwed that sentence right there. I do apologize for that. It gets turned on during the night, the heat tape in the back. It gets turned off during the day because the day it warms this room up pretty nicely. So temperatures for her, for boas in general, I'd say, the hot side should be about 90 degrees. The cold side should get no less than, in the winter, if you're cooling them off, I would say it shouldn't get any less than 75 degrees. Period. Otherwise, they do pretty good on that schedule. Oh my gosh. I don't have time to be screwing up on this stuff, so I really don't care. But okay, so as you notice, she kind of pushed her hide. Her hide was back here, over here by her heat tape, but she pushed it forward to be close to her water bowl. So I'm gonna go ahead and push this back. Take this off. Get back over here. There she is. She's only 2 years old. It is okay for your boa to grow slowly. You want them to grow slow. You don't want them to, if you don't want them to breed, and even if you're considering breeding, I would not even try to hulk up your boa within the first 2 years of its existence. Seriously. Don't do it. It is not healthy. She's just got one hide. She's actually the only boa I have that has a hide. They're actually very well-tempered snakes. I've never really had one without cause bite me. I have had some of my snakes bite me, but they had pretty damn good reason to do it because it was my fault. But I know this girl pretty well, even though she's young. Normally when you go into a baby boa's enclosure, you never want to just try and pick it up right off the bat. It's the same with any snake. You want to give them time to realize you aren't food before putting your hand in the cage, because they will bite you, especially when they're babies, like hatchlings. This one is obviously not a hatchling, but they do have a pretty good feeding response, so I would be careful of that. You can tap train them as well, but I don't really do that. Boas are very well-mannered snakes in captivity, depending on what kind of baby you have. If you spend enough time with them, they calm down. So as you see, I'm touching her. I'm not going near the face. That's where you're going to get bit. If you go towards her face, right as you open the cage, she's going to bite you. She's going to clock you one. So I'm going to go ahead and just gently pick her up. Just like, it's hard to do this with one hand because she's so big. Here. So here she is. She's getting pretty hulky, actually. But it's really not all that hard. Once you get the feel of it, of your snake, it's really not all that bad. She's actually going into shed. Try not to go that way, okay, sweetie? But she's one of my best girls. She's still young. It is a female. She's 2 years old. Not hulking. You'll notice she's not too unmanageable with just one hand. She can still be managed with one hand pretty good. She's just like really, really long in my hand, but they're sweet snakes. I don't think you should have a problem handling them after a while. If you have one that is snippy, be patient. They come out of it as long as you take care of them properly and you handle them with care. If you handle them like all aggressive, they're not going to trust you. Sorry, I'm putting her back because she's getting kind of antsy in my hands. As you can see, she almost fits this whole tub pretty nicely, actually. She's longer than the tub. But nippy babies come out of it. It's with every single snake. Nippy babies will eventually, you know, they will stop being nippy as long as you handle them properly. Like what I just did. You need to give them a moment to realize what's going on before going in there to pick them up. Never go in there and just pick them up. You're going to get clocked that way. I've been bitten so many times it doesn't really bother me if they bite me at this point or not, but this is a proper care video to handle and care for them. So handling, if you're just having one pet boa or several, no one's limiting you to just one boa. I mean, I'm addicted to snakes, obviously, but if you have several, it's good to train them. I use that word very loosely because they're still wild animals. But if you treat them with care and go in the exact same approach I did, you can even use a snake hook if you feel uncomfortable touching it right off the bat. Just handle them regularly, they will come out of it on their own. This is a 41 quart tub. This snake will not stay in this 41 for the rest of its life. They get bigger. Whether you provide them with adequate space or not, they will outgrow the enclosure you have them in. I don't want to hear any of that crap like, oh, you know, the pet store told me this, pet store told me that. Do not listen to pet store associates. The majority of them, I would say maybe like 85 to 90% of them have no idea what they're talking about at all. So I would strongly recommend to stay away from pet store associates that try and tell you how to care for your snake. Don't listen to them. They really don't know what they're talking about. I ran into a similar case with a ball python. I've been raising ball pythons for almost 7 years, and I mean, I still hear ridiculous stuff. I'm actually still learning things about ball pythons I didn't even know about. And I've had them for longer than I've had my boas, but it's the same. If you're going to a pet store, do not get a snake from the pet store. I would recommend going to a breeder. It is so much cheaper that way. But getting back on topic, I apologize for my little rant. It just pisses me off when pet store people think they know what they're talking about. In reality, they really don't. But right now, I would say this is a good baby to juvenile to maybe sub-adult enclosure would be a 41 quart tub. Babies can be housed in something a little smaller, especially the hatchlings, like this rack, for example. I have like stuff here. So these aren't cleaned yet. This was something that I just got off of somebody that gave it to me basically for free. It's a hatchling rack. So this is a good example for what a baby boa can be housed in if you're breeding, but this is not a permanent enclosure. It is very temporary because it's a hatchling and you just need something like a quick fixer-upper for your babies. This is an 18 tub rack. This is a 41. It holds, I have no idea how many tubs. Yeah, it fills about 8 tubs, this one. This one fills 6, that one fills 6. It doesn't matter what you house your baby in as long as it has adequate space to move around. Do not get into boas unless you're doing the proper research. Don't just go off of this video. Get a book, read up online. Not everybody online knows what they're talking about either, but so once they get to a certain age, they will need to be moved up. But let me go down here and show you 2 boas that are actually very small. They can fit in a 41 quart for the rest of their lives. This is Apollo, and he left me a present. He's back there. He's in shed, so he's kind of a grumpy monkey right now. Thank you for the pee, by the way. That's wonderful. My hand won't stop shaking. So that's an adult albino call boa right there. He's a male, and that's actually as big as he's gonna get. He's about 6 years old, and he hasn't really grown all that much since I got him. Some snakes, especially boas, can stay small like that. The males generally stay smaller than females, except for this girl down here. This girl is a pure Hog Island, and she bloodied the hell out of her rat last time. But this is a pure Hog Island boa, and she's full grown too, but this is like one of the smallest locality of boas you can get. She's a gorgeous snake, and she looks like she's going to clock me, so I'm going to go ahead and just put that down. I don't want to shed blood in a video unless I absolutely had to, but depending on what locality you get, it also depends on the price too. So we're going to go ahead and move over here to adult boa enclosures. You can see my snake room behind me. Don't worry about it. Up here, I have my adult. Right here is my female. I'm not going to bother her. We're just going to come up here and bother my adult. My adult male, Alistair. Now, this is a 4 foot by 2 foot by 1 foot cage, and he does perfectly fine in something like this. This is what you're going to want to have when they become an adult. and he is about 6 feet. He's a sweet snake. He's very sweet. The only reason why I'm touching him right off the bat is I know him, and he's a sweet animal. He's a good boy. He's never really wanted to bite. Here, let me put this right here. He's a sweet boy. He is. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, Alistair. It's okay, baby boy. He's a good boy. I have to baby talk him or he doesn't know it's me. He's actually one of the sweetest snakes I have. He's looking kind of a little agitated at me because I woke him up, but he's a sweetie. He is. You don't usually want to do that to an adult boa unless you absolutely know the snake. I know I would never just walk up to someone's snake and pet it right near the face, like right off the bat, but he's a good snake. He is. He just doesn't like his tail being touched. But you'd want to keep him in a 4 foot by 2 foot by 1 foot minimum. You don't have to. If you're just keeping one, go crazy with it. No one really cares. I mean, you know, the temperatures still stay the same. 90 degrees for the hot side and no less than 75 degrees on the cold side. I would recommend to keep it 80 degrees on the cold side, so there's a 10-degree difference. But my boy is only 6 feet. My girl is actually gravid right now with babies. And I can actually get in this cage pretty damn good. She is 8.5 feet, and she still does pretty damn good in a 4 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot. She's actually a foot longer than the other one. She does pretty good. She's a big girl. She's gravid right now, so that's why I don't really want to touch her. She's kind of pissy. But again, don't jump into something you're not prepared to do. Here's my hand compared to her. Sorry, I can't really, I mean, trust me, she's a lot bigger than she looks. I don't want to touch her though, because she's going to get pissed off, so I'm going to come out of her cage. I do have a baby boa, to a 2015 baby, but she's in quarantine right now, so I obviously am not going to mix being with my healthy snakes and then going over to the quarantine area and touching her, because I have to come back in here eventually. But I hope you guys liked it. Substrate doesn't really matter what you use. I use paper towels for the bigger ones. You could use, and it's the same for her, I use paper towels or Aspen. Aspen works just as well. There are millions of cage options you can go through on the internet. I use Boa Master right here. It ships pretty fast, I'm not gonna lie, but it is kind of cheap. It's okay, but it's not something that I think will hold together for a really, really long time. It might fall apart, so I might have to get another one long down the line. But if you're wanting to keep a boa, keep in mind that they are very powerful constrictors. If you don't watch what you're doing, you'll get hurt. It's the same with any other snake. For example, this is a little way off topic, but right down here, I have my albino female Burmese, and she's gonna outgrow my male and female boa, but the strength of a boa constrictor outmatches that of a Burm and a retic at the same time. So if you really want to commit to these guys, amazing. It's definitely an experience to have, but do be careful. You don't want to just fuck around, because that's what gets people hurt. Humidity should be, I would say, 60 to 80, depending on what locality you have. It also depends if they're shedding. Usually when they're shedding, I raise their humidity to about 85 in their cage, and they do fine off of that. Here, let me just open this up again, because the glare of my sheets is getting kind of, here's her face. There she is. You see, this is my hand. I swear, this can't even comprehend how big she is. So they're definitely a treat to have. Not for everybody. This is not a beginner animal. If you want a beginner animal, you get a ball python, a corn snake, a king snake, yada yada in that category. Stay with smaller pythons. If you want to get a boa, I'd start off with a rainbow boa or a rosy boa. Those are great boas to start out with, but if you're going to get something like this, I'd wait until you have a little more experience. But something like this, I mean, I would show handling with one of my bigger snakes, but I would need both my hands, and I'm holding the camera, so that wouldn't really work all that great. I'll do another video of me holding one of my bigger snakes down the line, but this is as far as I can go with this one. If you guys feel like I missed something important in this video, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear it. I keep feeling like I'm missing something. Just let me know. Just so you know, these guys eat very large. They can eat about... This one right now is eating extra large rats. That's a good summary of how big they can get. Some of them take 2-pound rabbits when they get older. So that's a good feeding is costly, especially if you have a lot of snakes. I spend almost like $300 in food just like almost every week. So just keep that in mind too. Expenses, bedding, feeding, housing, it costs quite a pretty penny in the long run, so keep all of that in mind, you guys. If you feel like I missed something, which I feel like I have missed something, please leave it down in the comments. I'd love to hear it. So thank you for watching. I'm kind of stumbling on my own words. I don't even know what to say now. But I will leave you with this pretty little girl. I would run you through all the boa morphs I have at the time, but who has the time? I'm already like 22 minutes in, so if you guys want a video on all the different types of boas I have, I can run through those. I just added one to my collection not too long ago. She's in quarantine, like I said, and she's the 2015 baby. But thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time. Aduna, say bye, Aduna. There's a good girl. Don't club Mama in the face.